Hi and welcome to another tutorial from Homs. Today we're going to be looking at the Wave text intro tutorial. So let's create our text. So I'm going to go ahead and press Shift and A and create the text. We're going to be using Bree Extra Bold for this text. It's a paid for font, so you'll have to pay for it if you want to use this font. I like the font, so I paid for it. So I'm going to go and type in Wave. And then I'm going to go to the font section in the type and change it to the font. So I'm going to use Bree Extra Bold. Cool. And scale this up to about here. Cool. Now we're going to go and convert this to a mesh. So we're going to press F3 on our keyboard and type in convert to mesh. Mine is at the top because I use it all the time, but for you, you may have to search for it. Then we're going to press A to select all of our topology here, and we're going to press X. You have to be in edit mode to select all of the vertices, so press tab to go to edit mode, then press X and go to A to select everything, and then press X and go to limited dissolve. Good, that gets rid of all the unwanted topology. Then I'm going to go to edge select. I'm going to deselect these edges here. In fact, let's go to vertices and deselect them from the vertex part of it. Yeah, I think that may be the reason here. And with that now, we can press Ctrl and E, and that's going to bring up the edge selection options. And we want to mark some seams, so we're just going to say mark seam. Good. Then we're just going to mark these seams separately. I'm going to go to Ctrl E, mark seams. Good. That way we don't want these edges in our grease pencils convert, which is the next step we're going to do. We're going to go to Object, Convert, Grease Pencil, and you're only going to export the seam edges. Good, and we want to keep the original, and I'm using about 5 thickness. You're going to press Tab, come out of that, and that's going to leave us with our edge. Now it's black here. We're going to want it to be white, so let's go ahead and do that. Also, it's interfering with the mesh below it, so you want to just lift it up a bit above the mesh so it doesn't create any artifacts. I'm going to go to our edit to our data tab for grease pencil. We're going to tick off use lights, and then we're going to go to the material and change this from black to white. Cool. Next we're going to select our mesh here. Let's just lift these up. Let's lift this and this up. Cool, and let's delete this one underneath it. We're going to select our original mesh. Oh, that's not the original mesh. And delete that part. The original mesh, we're going to press Tab to go to edit mode, and we're going to press A to select all of the vertices, and we're going to press E to extrude, and then we extrude on the Z automatically. And we're going to extrude down. Let's just go ahead and lift up this text so you can see. Alright, by about that much. It doesn't have to be that wide really, but I like to have an extra bit of leniency. I think this is okay. I'm going to parent our outline to our original mesh, keep transformation. We're going to select the original mesh again, and we're going to do 2 steps here. We're going to take it from the render mode. We're going to name it Wave Mask. So press F2 to name it, and then we name it Wave Mask. And then we're going to go over to the Object tab here. We're going to go to Viewport Display, and we're going to change it from texture to wired. Cool. Now we can go ahead and create our wave. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we're going to create a plane. I'm going to go Mesh and Plane. I'm going to go S and X to scale this plane on the X-axis. We want it to cover the letters. Cool. And we want it to be intersecting the wave wire mesh. Cool. About here. Just covering it. And I want to make sure that the height of the box also covers the wave text. We may need to increase it afterwards, but for now it looks okay. Then we're going to go and select go to edit mode by pressing Tab and select the 2 top vertex at the top of the box, holding Shift, and then we're going to go W and S. We're going to look to the right hand side, and we're going to enter in 10. That's the highest. We're going to need more than that, but that's a good start. And then once we do that, we press tab. With the vertices selected again, we're just going to press W and S and add some more vertex cuts here, subdivide, sorry. So we have about what, 11 cuts here, and this is good. We're going to go ahead and in edit mode, we're going to go to the data tab here. We're going to go to vertex groups, and we want to assign the selected vertices to a group. I'm going to rename this group top edge. Good. And then we're just going to check to see if it's successfully assigned. I'm going to deselect and select. If it's deselects and selects, then we know that it's assigned properly. I'm going to press tab to come out of edit mode now. Just add our wave modifier now that we prepared our plane. So what we're going to do here now is going to go to modifiers, add modifier. I'm going to search for wave. Let's just play it. And we can see that the plane is moving up and down. Good. And this is not on the orientation we want the wave. We want the wave not moving on the Z but on the Y. And that's due to my unique orientation for the camera view, where the X is on the horizontal and the Y is on the vertical. So to fix that, I have to hit RX -90. Good. And then we're going to apply the rotation with Control and A. And then select rotation, and then once we apply the rotation, we're gonna go RX 90, flip it back to the original rotation, and we can see that the wave is now moving on the correct axis, which is the y-axis. Right, but the wave is moving both the top edge and the bottom edge, and we only want it to move the top edge. So let's go to vertex group and select top edge, and that way the wave modifier only affects the top edge. Cool. So it's looking really good. What we want now though is that we want the wave modifier to start from the edge. It's oscillating from the start, from the middle of the plane. We want it to oscillate from the edge. So we're going to change that and some other parameters. So let's go to start position here. We're going to use -2. Good, and that looks much better. We're going to change the speed to 0.7. Cool. 0.07, sorry. 0.7 is a bit too quick. 0.07. Cool. And then we're going to change the not the offset. Let's go ahead and change some of the wave properties here. And the height is going to be 0.77. The width is going to be 1.3. The narrowness will remain the same. Cool. Let's take a look at that, and that's our wave. Awesome. Cool. Alright, we're going to offset the wave a bit to be on the negative, so it starts ahead of time. Yeah. And what we're going to do here is that we're going to create 3 of these waves. But like how we're going to create 3 of these waves, we can go ahead and add some texture, some materials to this. Let's go ahead and move this keyframe back a bit, because the grease pencil wave is showing up a bit late, so we want to show it from the beginning. Let's add the material, and once he's going to use the first material here. This is a diffuse material, and it's this blue here. I'll quickly show you the hex code. There's the hex on the right if you want to use it. Cool. And let's go ahead and add the other 2 waves here. So we're going to just go ahead and duplicate with Shift and D. Let's pick G and Z to move it back on the Z axis. I'm going to give this a new offset here. So let's go to the wave modifier and change the offset. Cool. And let's give this a different material. I'm going to use this blue here, which is also diffuse. All of these are diffuse materials. Cool. And then we're going to duplicate it one more time. Press G and Z, push it on the Z axis. And I'm going to change the offset. Cool. I'm going to give this a different wave here, different material. So let's go to materials and select the last blue. Alright, so we have 3 blues here. Cool. So what we're going to do here, now that we've done all of this, we're going to add the Boolean modifier. Let's go ahead and just lift these up. Right, we want to make sure that the waves are intersecting the wire box here, the wire of the wave text here, and that this blue is at the bottom, and yeah, I think this is right, and this blue is at the top here, and the darker blue is at the bottom here. Cool. Then we're going to go to modifiers. I'm going to go to add modifier. I'm going to search for Boolean modifier. Cool. Let's just minimize the wave modifier. And what we're going to do, we're going to change the solver to fast. We're going to use intersection, and we're going to select the object. And the object is this wave mask right here. Good. I'm going to do that for all of the waves here. And we see that it masks out the wave just like intended. Looking really nice. Good. So all we have to do is add a bit of animation to this. Just a simple Y animation is good. So with the blue selected, let's go ahead and set the keyframe here about frame 60. Let's move this up to about here. Make sure it covers the entire wave. Insert single keyframe at 60 and start at 0. And let's go ahead and insert a keyframe at frame 1. Yeah, and just bring down the Y a bit. About here. And then have it just rise up here. Cool. Does okay because the height's alright, but the bottom of it is not high enough, so it's not low enough. So let's bring it down below the W. We're gonna add some white also to the next color here, which is this medium tone blue, and that is the animation for the wave here. Looking really slick. Let's go ahead and add the ambient occlusion. All of these are diffuse, so we're going to add a bit of shadow here for the wave. So to do that, we're going to go to the render section here. We're going to go to the options. I'm going to select ambient occlusion, and then you want to take off bounce approximation, and that's going to give us this nice shadow that we see here. Cool. And then when we add our bubbles, that will also add the shadow here, and that will look really nice. Let's go ahead and just move this to the side a bit. Yeah. Alright, let's go ahead and add our bubbles. So to do that, it's simply just a UV sphere. So just gonna go and create a UV sphere with Shift A, mesh UV sphere. Cool. I'm going to add a bit more topology to this because I want it smooth. I don't want it too pixelated. I'm also going to give it a simple white diffuse. So let's give it a diffuse of white. Cool. And once we do that, let's take a look at where we have it. We want it intersecting the wave, but we also want it above all of our wave arms that we have here. We can go ahead and just move this down along the Z. We want the bubbles to be above them, not intersecting. Cool. And let me just shift this Y a bit too, because it's a bit off kilter. so that we add a Boolean modifier to them as well, so they stay within the confines of the mask. So it's just going to be the same. Search for the modifier, go to Boolean, intersect solver is fast, and select wave mask here. And with that, now you can duplicate all of the points and just put them periodically along the wave. So we're going to do all of that, and once you do that, you're going to parent them to an empty. You can just create an empty with Shift and A and create an empty and just parent them, and we'll move on to the next step. So I'm going to skip that part because that's a bit repetitive, and we're just going to show you what it looks like when the bubbles are added. Okay then, so we've created our bubbles, and we've parented them to this empty here. So if you take a look at this empty and press F2, I've just called it bubble control, and these are the bubbles, and we put the bubbles in their own collection. So if we look to the right, we see bubble collection here. Cool. And what we're going to do now is we want to duplicate all of the bubble collection, including the control. So it's going to move this to the bubble collection here, the bubble collection, move the bubble control to the bubble collection, and then we're just going to go to the collection itself. I'm going to right click or left click in your instance and go to select objects. That's going to select everything. We're going to hit Shift and D and duplicate, and we're going to move this to a new collection. Let's call it bubbles, and that will put this into a new collection. I think it's called bubbles like 16. Yeah. So what we want now is that now that we've got these two bubbles, we want to have both of them move upwards along the wall. First is just add a Y movement here, about the same speed as the wave itself, maybe slightly slower actually, and insert an XY. Cool. And then we're just going to have it move down here to about the position of this Y, this empty right here. Cool. And I'm just going to insert, replace single keyframe here, and I'm going to have it move up. Cool. And then, in fact, let's have it move up beyond the wave here to about here. Place keyframe. So it's moving a bit fast here. Let's go ahead and make it like 120 frames here. Alright. It's also moving linearly. So what we want to do here is moving as a Bezier, sorry, the interpolation. So that's a slow to fast to slow. So we're going to go to our graph editor and change this from Bezier, sorry, to linear. Let's go ahead and just screen this up, change the interpolation to linear. Alright, so there's no speed up or slow down. And then what we want to do is that we want, as this is moving up and out, we want this to follow it. So we're going to link the animation. I'm going to hit Control and L, and we're going to link animation data. Good. But with the second one selected, we're going to go to Object, Relations, Make Single User, and we're going to select the object animation. Good. That way the animations are the same now, but they're independent of one another. And we can go ahead and just stagger this. So we're going to stagger this slightly. So one moves up and the other should follow. Good. And we can move this in the graph editor so that it comes directly afterwards. So as this one disappears, we can begin the process to repeat the animation. So as it disappears about here, good. Some about this, so it disappears about here. You want this to start and repeat this animation, and to do that we're simply just going to go to modifiers and go to cycles. Good. And we'll see it repeat, and then all we have to do now is repeat the process for this now. Add cycles, and we'll see the animation repeats after each other. Good, we notice there's a gap between where it's not showing, and all we have to do is simply just move secondary bubbles such that it covers the gap. And you're gonna play about with both of these until you get to a suitable gap between the two of them, where the bubbles show up and go through. Cool. And the only thing you have to do now is that at the beginning, when the wave is starting, you see the bubbles showing without the wave reaching up. So the first wave that moves up, which is this one, you just want to cap the animation so that it only starts at not cap the animation, but cap the cycles so that it only starts at frame 41. So you want to go to the modifier cycles, go to restrict frame range here, and you're going to start it from 41, and going to take it basically to the end of the animation, 250, and that will give you your bubble animation. Cool. So when you're finished doing the editing, you're going to get something that looks like this, where the bubbles move continuously. And that is the wave text tutorial. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. If you have any ways that you can do things better, sure, and leave it in the comments. I'm happy to read them, and it helps everybody. I don't presume to know all things, so it's great when you add your input. I totally endorse that. So until I see you again with another tutorial, get up and design a new dawn. Later.